Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.net, and as many of you know, there's something going on in Michigan. The black students in Michigan are protesting, and they are really standing up to the administration. They're demanding change. They're demanding equality, and I became so intrigued by what they were doing that I decided to try to look into this, and I wrote an article in support of the students. But I then received a message from Miss Johari Shuck, who is the person she's on my right if you're looking at me, but on my left if you are me. This is my left hand over here. Ms. Shuck is an alumnus of the University of Michigan, and she's concerned, and she's actually pulled together a group of alumni to support the students in their struggle. And so before I begin, I want to ask Ms. Shuck, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Thanks so much for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your work. I mean, I think this is so important. And when I heard what students were doing, I was really impressed because, unfortunately, a lot of college students are so distracted by, all the little things that they don't actually, confront what's going on their campus. So I think that what the students in Michigan are doing is great. I mean, as an alum of that school, what is your impression of what's kind of happening on campus right now?
I agree with you that it's kind of remarkable what they're doing because, number one, Michigan has a strong tradition of student activism. This is actually like the fourth installment over the past 40 years of similar action on behalf of the students. So it's carrying a tradition, but to your point about students being distracted, me having taught at Indiana University, I see that a lot. And so going from IU to Michigan, where students are really, putting forth effort, it's really a remarkable thing to witness.
Okay, so when you say IU to Michigan, now you did undergrad at Michigan or you did grad school at Michigan?
I did undergrad at Michigan, and then grad school at IU.
Oh, okay. So you went to IU for a while. Okay, and now you live in Indiana. But you were concerned about what was going on. I mean, you reached out to some alums to create a petition on change.org. Can you tell us about the petition? Tell us about the conversations that are going on with the alum as they're sort of watching what's happening on campus.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of concurrent conversations taking place. They were sparked by the word that the students had submitted a list of demands. There are a couple of individuals that were a few years ahead of myself when I attended Michigan in the 90s. And so that group of friends, really, they kind of took the initiative to start the petition. And so on a completely different side, I had a conversation with a really close friend of mine when I saw that, this was taking place. And I'm like, we need to do something, me and you, let's go. And so once we kind of connected both of these conversations, I mean, it just blossomed into something so amazing. It was beyond what we even really expected. Wow. So right now the petition is it's up to over 1,500. So it's growing, and the group that we've established is growing. We have over 900 concerned alum that we're, pulling together. So it's really turned out to be kind of remarkable.
Okay, well, let me ask the obvious thing. What do the students want? I mean, what are they asking for, and what do you think that they should be asking for based on your experience with the school?
I think that they're really on point. Their biggest concern is increasing the number of not just black students, but underrepresented students in general. But specifically regarding the black students, the percentages 4-something%, which is really a low percent. And so they're really wanting to increase that so that they don't feel so isolated from each other. When I was a student in the 90s, there were 8% of us, and you can tell the difference in terms of how close we were compared to what the students are going through now. So their college experience is being affected by the fact that there are so relatively few of them. So that's the biggest push. They're also wanting to better educate the student body at large. Right now, Michigan has a race and ethnicity requirement for all students. But these students really want to focus on issues of privilege and power and how those racial dynamics have affected the way the United States has gone from the beginning of time. And so those are some of the ways that they want to expand the way that we're educating other students about, race relations. Those are the two main things, but among other things, we're looking for more funding of the Black Student Union. And this was something that was promised back in the 80s to have some continual, perpetual funding, and apparently that's not happening. And then an increase in faculty and staff. So, just basic things that make for a welcoming campus environment that, fosters learning among all these students.
Interesting. This reminds me of when I was at University of Kentucky. I just started grad school in the 90s, and I remember that the whole blow up on our campus in the mid 90s occurred because there was a Black female student who'd written a letter to the campus paper, and she was actually supporting one of the articles I'd written, which was rare because I used to write for the campus paper, and everybody read my articles, but 90% of the people who read the articles hated my guts. They were a bunch of racist kids, and it was either racist white kids or Black people who were looking at me like, "What are you doing? You're going to get us all in trouble." That kind of plantation mentality. And I don't know why I chose to be the one to step out there. It just happened. But anyway, I remember that there was a student. Her name was Tanya Clay, and Tanya had written this letter and supporting me, which I thought, wow, this is neat. Actually, one person writes a favorable letter out of 100. And what happened though was there were two white guys who threatened to kill her. They followed her to class, and they put a knife to her throat, and she was so traumatized that she left, and she went back to Ohio and never came back. And so I remember that we were so upset, and she told us at the Black Student Union, and we didn't know what to do. But I remember that there was a point where no one knew what to do. And we all just sort of said, okay, well, and I noticed they were looking to me to kind of say something, to give a direction, and I didn't really know what to do. So I said, okay, well, let me just think about it. Let me see. And I remember I went home, and right after that conversation, literally minutes later, I said to myself, I said, wait a minute, boys, if you just think about this and you don't act right now, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. Get off your ass and go do something now. So I said exactly what you said. Going back to your point, I said I picked the phone right back up and I called two people. I said, meet me tomorrow. Let's get something started. And I didn't know what I was doing. Because when you're young, you don't know how to organize. You don't know what the real issues are. You're just lost. And there was a great guy. There was a great guy that we had kind of as an older mentor. His name was Chester Grundy, and he guided us a little bit and told us what to do. And we did exactly what he told us because he'd lived through the '60s activism and kind of guided us in terms of what we wanted to do. And as a result, this was one of the most significant campus protests in the history of our campus. We made a lot of change, and it came from that little spark, that little bit of faith that says, even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing, even though these people think I'm crazy, even though I might get in trouble, I know this is not right, and I know that it's not going to change if I don't speak up, stand up, and try to do something about it. So that's what led me to be so impressed with what the students in Michigan were doing. And it's also what impressed upon me the importance of all of us understanding that when we see that spark of energy, resonate anywhere, in any community, any campus, we have to close in on that situation to give them support. We have to, the troops need to come and back them up, just like the cops. When one cop gets in trouble, they call for backup. So I think the Black community, the Michigan students are calling for backup. First line of backup needs to be the alumni, and that's you. That's all the other people who had, tough experiences at that school. And I assume you don't want your children to have that same experience. So if you don't do anything, they're going to have that experience. And then on top of that, those of us who didn't go to Michigan, we know what racism looks like. We know what they're trying to do. We need to support them. We need to sign this petition and help out in any way we can. So with that said, and with that long-winded story I just gave you, I want to ask you, is there anything that people like I can do to help the situation that's going on in Michigan?
Well, I think, like you said, supporting by the petition, helping to circulate that certainly is helpful. I think that it's really important for people to not just support us at Michigan, but for others to, see what's going on at their respective alma maters, because, like you said, this is not just happening at Michigan. It happens that this group of kids are at the point where, they're ready to confront the situation. But, this is happening everywhere, and so we pay attention because the needs of these students are not being met. They're supposed to be in classrooms studying right now, but they're, dealing with, the pressure of, taking this on themselves. So, just supporting the students that are, in school right now, we really have to do what we can to help them. One other important thing for us has been trying to gather people to just stand in solidarity, other groups. Just today at Michigan, one of the Asian student associations printed a letter in the Michigan Daily, the newspaper, expressing their solidarity for the Black Student Union. So it's important for others to understand that this is not just about Black students. Black students have just historically been the ones to start the discourse about what happens to students on college campuses that are from marginalized groups. But this affects everyone. Black students, white students. Several white students were reported in the newspaper saying that their education is not being enriched by, diverse people because there's no one in class to talk to them about issues like this. So, just really getting people to understand it, it's not just a Black issue. We just need people to align with us. We're still in the process of the alumni, just really organizing and strategizing. We have a lot of people in high places, and we're really going to make sure that things happen. So we just need you to keep covering us because there's going to be more to come. We're just being strategic about it, and letting the organization, the institution, giving them a chance to really, make good on some of the things that they said that they're going to make good on. So just stay tuned.
Well, I love it. And what I would say to the students is, every time you go in there and you tell them what you want, the first thing they're going to ask you to do is to be patient. And what they're really saying is, we want you to just be patient and wait, because as soon as you graduate and this all blows over, we're going to continue with business as usual. I remember when we were raising hell on my campus, the question that the president of the university consistently asked me every time he saw me is, he'd say, "When do you graduate again?" And I look back on that and I laugh, because this guy was like, "I cannot wait for this big mouth Negro to leave the campus, because I know we can go back to business as usual." And the other thing I would say is that, every time they tell you, another thing they're going to tell you is that they don't have the money to do what you want them to do. They don't have the resources. Well, guess what? The University of Michigan does have the resources. Most of these campuses have the resources to do the things that are important to them. I guarantee you that if you just look down the roster of speakers that the university is going to have at that campus over the next year, they're going to bring in speakers that cost as much as $50,000 to $100,000 for one speech. So if they can do that kind of thing, then they can afford to give you what you want. And also, I guarantee you this much: if you were 6'9", 240 pounds, and could dribble a damn basketball, they will be more than happy to have more of you on that campus. They will search high and low to have as many Black people as possible. Because when you go check out the Michigan basketball team and the Michigan football team, there's never a shortage of Negroes in either of those spaces. So we have to get to a point where people respect a Black man and Black woman who balances a biology book as well as they balance a basketball or football. And that's where we really need to go. And they owe you this, because, believe me, the University of Michigan makes millions and millions of dollars every year from the African American community, primarily through its athletics programs. So I would also encourage the athletes who believe in this, or former athletes, to step up and support these students. I'm talking about the Chris Chris Webbers and the Jalen Roses. Well, Chris probably wouldn't do it. I don't know what Chris is on, but Jalen is the kind of guy that I think would support this. So I hope he steps forward. Because these guys are smart. They know how much these schools make off of African Americans, and we need to leverage that. We need to support each other, stand in solidarity, as you said. So I stand in solidarity with you. Your Black World is behind you. So anything we can do, you let us know. Thank you very much for your help, Johari.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right, and that, everybody, is Johari Shuck. She is one of our fellow scholar warriors, and in case you're wondering, we're building a whole generation of super scholars who are not afraid, who are ready to do battle and use their minds to help the community, and that's what we're all about here, and that's why you're watching us, because you are also part of this family, and I appreciate you so much, and we love you very much. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.